Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to northeast, southeast, northwest, south, northeast, north, southeast, Texas, and northeast, southwest, northwest, Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny, our 100,000 watt transmitter get its signals to. Welcome to the world, of course. We are listened to all over the world, over the internet. In fact, we often have check-ins from Barcelona, Spain, from several other places. We love it. We love it. People love American politics. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. But before we get started, we move on to our most famous geniuses in the studio. Buenos dias, mis hermanos favoritos.
North, south, east, and west. 100,000 watts coming to you from KPFT Houston. And now, politics done right. Don't do politics done wrong. It's politics done right.
Wow.
I think we're okay.
Wow. I love that. Wow.
Big radio announcer voice, you know.
Man, that was beautiful. After having a terrible weekend, you just brightened the day with your exuberance, senor. Thank you much. How's everything?
Lord, what in the world happened, man?
My wife is back in the hospital, man.
Oh, man. No, we don't want that.
Yeah, well, actually, it's getting better, but, you know, just after the shingles and then getting, I don't know if a shingle made it into her esophagus or something, but she just couldn't keep anything down and swallow and feel something. Let me tell you, folks, go get those shingle vaccines and don't put it off. You know, a lot of times you say, you know, I'm going to do it next week or I'm going to do it. You know, you never know when the hell you're going to get these things. So as soon as she got it, I went ahead and got me that shingles vaccine. And then I slapped myself around and said, for somebody who constantly preach vaccines, I got me the flu vaccine. I got me the COVID vaccine, everything but the shingles vaccine. And it's like, you know, learn your lessons, folks. Don't repeat what the bad stuff we did in not getting the shingles vaccine in a timely manner, even after telling people all this stuff all of the time. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I need to do the same thing. I haven't gotten it yet. I've got the flu vaccine, COVID vaccine, the anti-jerk vaccine.
But you know,
intelligence vaccine.
No, actually, you didn't get that. Well, if you got that vaccine, brother, it did not work. I'm sorry, it did not work. But
I am just lucky, Egberto. That's all.
Okay. But how am I?
I think Jack has a page of wisdom here for us.
Well, wisdom comes slowly these days, so bear with me.
Wisdom is at a crawl here.
All right.
You know, I was thinking about, you know, make your life a personal protest. When you see injustice, call it out. Corporations fouling the environment, quit using their products. Bad politicians, vote them out. Think about this. Stop paying the people who are enslaving you. If people would stop paying health care premiums, we'd have single payer in 6 months. Yeah, you quit sending in their money. Believe me, things would change.
Absolutely.
But you got to get the people all into it. How would you do that?
Well, not electing some politicians.
There's lots not to like there.
I'm telling you, we could spend all day on that one.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Well, let's, you know, this is Egberto's show, so we're going to give it back to him.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys. As I, you know, I'm intimately involved with the healthcare system, not because having had a daughter that's before the age of 29 had 2 strokes, and also now a wife for a long time with lupus, and now the shingles, and now in the hospital. I mean, I see all the different facets of the healthcare industry, right? And you know, today, first of all, let me tell you what the title of the show is today. It is Rattner gets Bidenomics, Joy and Reid is correct on TikTok, and bus busted Medicare Advantage myths. And I was going to do the first two videos, but that was going to take 17 minutes of total time. And I want to try something here with our great, there's a great article that I was reading last night while I was at the hospital, and it is titled, Busting the Myths of Medicare Advantage. And sitting down there in the hospital and knowing what is about to come when we start seeing all the paperwork from 2 hospitalizations, from care for this stuff, and a lot of other things. And in knowing what's coming out there, the first thing that hit me is like, we constantly make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And welcome, Alistair Waters from Conroe, Texas. I want to go over this because this is important. This year, over 50% of people took on Medicare Advantage instead of traditional Medicare. These guys are winning the PR battle. These guys are convincing people that they're better. But I tell you what else these guys are doing. These guys are also profiling. And they're going to the people that, and by the way, I have good friends that are on Medicare Advantage because, in watching those ads on TV, it's hard to believe that you can have such bold-faced misinformation. I don't want to call them lies because they know how to toe the line very well. So they make sure that they're not telling lies. They just make sure that they're misinforming the people. On Friday, I gave you that story about a good friend of mine who called me late, explaining to me that his wife couldn't get she didn't know that she had Medicare Advantage, found out she had Medicare Advantage, constantly having to get this thing called pre-authorization, which means before they can do any work on you, they have to pre-authorize it. And they kept denying her service for rehab, and then eventually sent her to a particular place, approved the service temporarily for that place, and then reneged on the approval. And after they reneged on the approval, he paid out of pocket the $300 or $400 per day. $300 to $400 per day. He said he would pay 4 days worth of that. So that's what he did. And in the process, constantly fight the Medicare Advantage people until they approved her getting the coverage. But something magical happened to my good friend after that. He was so relieved. I think he felt a sort of a thank you for not only the company, but I want to show people how to do this. And he called me back excited on Friday about, his success. And he was taken a little bit aback that I wasn't, I was happy that he fought for his wife to get the coverage and that he got the necessary coverage and all of that. I was happy for that. And I wanted to promote that. That is great that you were successfully getting it. But to him, it came across as if I was not very. I don't know what the word is about him being successful and doing like it, And I said, no, I'm happy for that, but realize this: most people don't have that fight in them. And this article that I'm reading here is proof positive. I'm going to go. I'm going to read the article. I'm going to talk about it. But they talk about 35 million pre-authorizations get called in for Medicare Advantage. 35 million. Of those, Medicare Advantage deny about 5% or somewhere in that vicinity. And of all those millions of denials, would you believe, actually it's more than 5%, but those denials, only 11% of people appeal. I didn't know those numbers till last night when I read the article. But I inferred that is what happens. People who get denied, they just throw their hands up in the air and say, well, I can't have this procedure because the insurance company denied me, and they don't go through the effort to appeal, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you recall a few months ago, we talked about Medicare Advantage. One of our callers called in and said that after listening to the program, they did a second appeal. And eventually, I think they mentioned that they mentioned the media or something in there. And the appeal got approved. But the question is, why should one have to do that? And not only that, why should we pay more for this? But I want to get more into detail on this, but we got a caller and I want to bring John in and then we'll continue this. John, come on in.
Yeah. Hey, Egberto. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm a doctor that calls in from time to time. And I was going to talk about something else, but I just was listening to the prior call. Healthcare reform is badly needed. Payment reform, healthcare reform.
Right.
But my view is that it needs to have a little bit of skin in the game for everyone. Medicare for all, but skin in the game, or just universal healthcare, but a little bit of skin in the game. And because you got to remember that insurance companies are in the business of denying claims.
Right.
I mean, that's their core fundamental business, is to deny claims. And so, but if you have a little skin in the game for each payer, then they'll be shopping around for different insurance.
Companies.
Use a simple metaphor, simple example, a very simple example. One time, my wife, back when there was DVD players, my wife and kids were out of town on Christmas. Now they're all growing out of the house. And I went to like Best Buy or something. I was looking for like a DVD player, and there was one for like $99 or $89.99, $99.99, $101.99. I said, I have no idea what the hell. I'll pick the middle one. And so, but I just thought to myself, I know it's much about DVD players or CD players, not DVDs, CD players, whatever they were, as the average person knows about heart disease.
Right.
I mean, so but a little skin in the game. I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out which one to buy. So the same thing would be true for healthcare. Just, there's no buyer-seller experience is what I'm trying to get at. There's no true buyer-seller experience.
Let me ask you something, because here's the thing that I think a lot of the problem. We're a society that wants to treat everything as a product, right? And we want to treat healthcare as a product or service. We want to treat healthcare as a for-profit product or a for-profit service. And my contention is we have to treat things differently. First of all, however, I do agree with you that we should have all skin. We should all have skin in the game. In other words, I don't believe in the idea of a society is collective responsibility, right? In other words, I may never fly on an airplane, but my taxes also pay for that runway, right? I may never drive to California, but my tax dollars pay for the interstate that everybody can use, so that in the event that I want to drive to California, in the event that I want to fly, any individual has that opportunity to do so with no additional, the access is there. Right. The access is there. Now, we fail to see that is how, that's a domain that healthcare should be in. And when I talk about skin in the game, you, my brother John, and everybody else, they have skin in the game in our highways. They have skin in the games for garbage collection. We all have skin in the game when we call it taxes. And those people who make the most, believe it or not, the reason why they should and must pay more taxes as well is because they take more out of the system. You may say they work harder. Not necessarily true at all. Bill Gates is a great guy, but he doesn't work harder than the programmer who burns the midnight oil working to make sure that bug inside of Windows 3.1 or Windows XP or Windows Vista or all these other Windows that they had. Those guys that burned the midnight oil, as maybe as brother Bill was having caviar, they're working hard as well. So my thing is, we have to change the paradigm of worth, the paradigm of what is supposed to be, like a highway or healthcare. In other words, and I think in my opinion, that's the first thing we need to do. Change the paradigm. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I deeply believe in a progressive tax frame. And I'll almost go back to the Eisenhower.
Right.
When personal income tax. What is this crazy idea? This crazy ass idea. Why don't we increase the personal income tax like for the top 1%, top 10%, 90%. Some like I'd probably get shot by some of my friends if I said that. But have corporate income tax low. That way, because corporations are not people. Corporations are just collectives of people. But that would help grow business and help jobs in America for the middle class, but tax the hell out of the super rich.
Let me first agree with you there. I mean, I love what you just said, because you presented a very important entity. Corporations are not people, which is what we try to move with the Move to Amend movement to get the 28th Amendment to say corporations are not people. I would easily say zero taxes on corporations, because supposedly a corporation, when all of its profits should be dispersed to its shareholders, as well as income to the exec bonuses, etc., as well as payments to the employees. Right? I would love to say this, my brother: eliminate all taxes on corporations. Corporations are not people. All profits are dispersed as wages, dividends, and etc. And when that occurs, right, taxes were still going to be paid on all those people who get the taxes, right? But remember the reason why they did this stuff about having corporations as people, because they don't want to disperse all those profits in wages, and they can't give it all to dividends, because that's also, I mean, it's all a gimmick. So you are onto something. First of all, I would be for zero corporate taxes if all profits were dispersed. Absolutely, because all profit dispersed mean it will be taxed.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, and tax. And have. I mean, why should somebody have $10 billion? I'm calling me like a progressive, a communist, a socialist. You call me something, but I'm I'm just a doctor, okay? But
wait! Stop! I mean, you just got me upset, my brother. I am just a doctor. Are you making $1 billion? Are you making $1 billion? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Well, listen to me, my brother. Listen to me, and I want you to hear this well. I talk about teachers and doctors and these particular professions that are actually the bastions of society. The stockbrokers that move paper and talk about EBITDA and marginal propensity, all these guys, they do absolutely nothing to move us as a society. Yet they are the ones that are making the massive amount of monies. And then doctors like you, not you per se, but doctors like you think that somehow at some point they will be there, so they support a system that's capitalized in that way. Brother, you are the person that have worth to society. The stockbroker is the one that has little worth to society. We got to get back on Medicare Advantage, but I just wanted to correct that, brother. Continue.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, no, I've had the privilege of taking care of probably north of 100,000 patients in my life. I've been doing this 35, 40 years. So, but I'd say, can I switch gears to another topic?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Please do.
Yeah. So I was sitting at the doctor's dining room table, and a few conservative types, older conservative types, were brought up a point that I couldn't rebut them. Mm-hmm. They talk about America first, America first, America first. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, what if Cuba, or the country where my sons are adopted from, Guatemala, what if Cuba or Guatemala said Cuba first, Guatemala first, or Panama first, or Peru first? And why? What's so bad about America first?
Well,
what do you think of that?
Well, there's nothing. Look, I don't have a problem saying America first. Take care of the people. You take care of your family first, right? Isn't that what you do? Okay, yeah. But the thing is that people don't have a problem with America first in the context of you take care of your family, in the context of whenever an airplane is about to crash, or whenever the airbags, whenever the thing comes out of the airline, you put the oxygen on yourself first, because you can't help anybody if you are not strong and able to go. So if people were using America First in that context, nobody would be complaining. The problem is America First has history. America First is an it's a Nazi type framework of we, only us, or So I mean, so that. Right. That there's a big difference. America First in taking care of yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. That is it is the same context that people have when people say Black Lives Matter and somebody says White Lives Matters and people are like, oh, and people's like, yeah, White Lives Matter, of course it does. It is a context in which things are used. So America First in the right context, there's absolutely nothing wrong. But Guatemala First could be done in a wrong context also. Suppose they decide that the great Aztecs are the best people in the world and Guatemala First, that would be just as bad as saying America First in that context. But America First to take care of yourself is fine.
If it takes a ethnic racist angle, that'd be awful, of course.
Right.
And then finally, what RFK, I might vote for RFK because I can't, I don't want another Biden Trump thing. RFK is making more sense these days, RFK Jr. And he has a nice saying, I'm pro-Palestinian but anti-Hamas. And he says, I want to make legal immigration much easier, big gate, but I want high walls. Mm-hmm. Big gate for legal immigration, but high walls, because you don't have a nation if you have, all these poor folks trying to make a better life for their families. God bless them. They'd be my sons. My sons would be in that line if we didn't adopt them 15 years ago. I mean, I guarantee you. So I have a chunk of empathy for that, but at some point you got to have some rationale to it.
I think you have to have a rationale for it as well. But let me just say this, John. Let's remember that, and I think I've said this several shows ago, right? If we look at the problem at the border as a border issue, we have missed the point. First of all, let me talk about RFK. I couldn't vote. Let me take my host hat off. When on November, the day of voting, when I cast my vote for Biden, I will not be casting my vote for Biden the man. I will be casting my vote for what occurs if, first of all, the assumption that RFK will not win. That's the assumption. And I think it's a pretty solid assumption that RFK can't win.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Secondly, given that point, I have, and also as a host, when I'm talking about these issues, I have to be pragmatic. I have to look at all the people that's in the country. And while it may be nice and feel good to stick it to Biden and stick it to Trump, I have to look at realistically what occurs. So why am I casting that vote in November? Not that I like Biden. I'm passing Biden for everything that will be around Biden, with the expectation that after reelected, I'm going to be on his ASS to get the policies that those of us know that most Americans want, get effected. And why do I feel confident about doing that? Like I said, I don't particularly like the guy that I'm going to vote for. I actually don't like the guy that I vote for because, well, that's another subject, but I will. Here's the other things. Progressives under Biden had gotten more, and I want you to listen to this great, my brother. Progressives under Biden has gotten more than they've gotten under Obama, than they've gotten under Clinton, than they've gotten under any one of these guys. Now, we probably had the pandemic as a help, but it proves that we could push him to do certain things that we needed to get done. And in his last year in office, and the right amount of people coming in, we will force him to do other things as well. My personal opinion. But anyway, John, anything else before I jump to Johnny?
Okay. No, sir. Thank you so much. Love your wisdom and love listening in. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, my friend. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, come on in. And then I really want to talk about Medicare Advantage, but go ahead, Johnny.
The one thing I like about using this so-called smartphone is that I actually heard the sound. So I know that you've cued me in. That's just a technical thing. So I hope you don't hear me.
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
The only time that I would use a right-wing phraseology, talking point, like skin in the game, is if I make sure to point out that's exactly what it is. Because if I fail to do that, and I try to make an argument forwarding the argument in favor of universal health care versus what we have now, then what I'm doing is I am helping a lot of people who have heard that phraseology pick them up, start thinking about all the arguments that right-wingers make. That's weird the way the human mind works, because we learn the same way we do everything by association. We learn by association, we dream by association, and we dispute by association. I just have to point out that this morning, a reminder, need reminding that skin in the game, right-wing talking points that facilitate their arguments, not ours.
I hear you, brother. Let me tell you, I believe it or I use skin in the game, right? Yes, for people who need to hear that folks are not taking advantage of something, to hear those words. But here's the reality, and it's hard for people to understand sometimes. We all have skin in the game, even those of us who don't realize we do. That poor person that doesn't pay income tax, that is buying products, believe it, they got skin in the game because they're a part of the money circulation that creates wealth in the country. So, I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from, Johnny. But
may I suggest a possible alternative phraseology?
Sure.
Okay. So instead of skin in the game, now my mind is blank. Here we go again. My mind is betraying me. My brain is actually. Okay.
Well,
so
Mr. Mayor politics done right. Mr. Mayor politics done right. That doesn't matter because you call all of the time, so you'll remember.
Even though my brain is betraying me right now, I did not forget that I will at some point this week dispute those points by that other Brian, not our regular Brian, but the new Brian, about Biden. Not forget.
All right, you're breaking up, Johnny, really, really bad. But let me just say this: I will be awaiting your dispute. But for right now, since your connection is not best, we're gonna let you go. But you give us a call back anytime, Mr. Mayor of Politics Done Right. All right. All right.
So much for the smartphone, huh?
Well, you'll find the right spot. All right. Thank you, brother. Anyway, folks, thank you. I want to get back to Medicare Advantage, but we had two other great subjects. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, where you can actually see the videos that I did there. Two good videos. One is 7 minutes. One is 10 minutes. Very much worth a watch. In fact, Joanne Reid liked it because Joanne Reid created a TikTok from it, and she sent me a little thank you after I did that piece. So anyway, let's do this. Medicare Advantage this year has garnered about over 50% of people, which I consider a danger. Because as more people, as Medicare Advantage becomes the majority, it gets on a certain amount of push, if you will, and it's hard to get rid of. So this article that I referenced, and it's also in the article, it's linked in the article in my newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. The title of the article in Common Dreams is Busting the Myths of Medicare Advantage. And it was written by Brandon Novick. I just want to read some experts and explain a few parts about it. It says, this year, the majority of Americans eligible for Medicare coverage chose to enroll in private Medicare Advantage plans rather than traditional Medicare. Insurance companies that run these MA plans spend significant amount of money in blanketing seniors with marketing and highlights the supposed advantage of Medicare Medicare Advantage, like low upfront costs, supplemental coverage, and other unique perks like subsidizing gym memberships, etc. Folks, that's just smokes and mirrors. But myth number one, Medicare Advantage is Medicare. Medicare Advantage is not Medicare. The inclusion of the term Medicare in Medicare Advantage, otherwise known as Medicare Part C, is incredibly misleading, as the program is de facto government subsidized private insurance, and it suffers all the ills that you have with private insurance. Traditional Medicare is public insurance where tax revenues are directly used to cover health care for seniors. Let me give you an interesting factoid here. Medicare Advantage is private health care. And the regular health care before Medicare, the one that Medicare doesn't pay for, is private. Now, check this out. Those companies who sell regular health care to the person that's not of Medicare age, their profit is about $780 something per person. That's their profit for administering regular private health care. I find that obscene already. I don't see, as John, who called earlier, said, the insurance companies, their model is to deny coverage, but they make $784 per person for every person that has that premium, private health insurance. You know how much they make for Medicare Advantage? Every person that signs into Medicare Advantage is equivalent to $1,730 to that insurance company. If that insurance company has 1,000 people, multiply 1,700, that's the profit for that particular company. So guess what? We have some insurance companies that have said, you know what, to hell with the private system where I only make $700 or so per person. We're only doing Medicare Advantage. Which is that? Humana. Humana now says, I'm only going to do. Humana ended its entire commercial insurance business in order to do Medicare Advantage. And ask yourself, where is that money coming from? That is your money, the taxpayer dollars. And when we talk about high taxes or Medicare taxes, that is you transferring your money to the executives who run these healthcare companies and the shareholders who own these insurance companies. And think about it. What service are they providing? Please tell me. They're paying a bill. If I looked at you and I told you, hey, I have $1,500 a month in bills that I pay. $1,500 a month in bills that I pay. And then I tell you, to pay that $1,500 in bills, you need to give me $2,500. Would you think that's a good deal? You ask, wait a minute, why am I going to write a check to you to pay my bills when I can write the check myself and pay the damn bill myself? Why is the government paying an insurance company to pay a bill when the government could pay the bill themselves and have the infrastructure already to do it with traditional Medicare? It's not hard to figure out that if you add all these other overheads, if you go from one entity, the Medicare, the government Medicare, if you go from that to thousands of different Medicare Advantage plans, people, it's not rocket science to understand that it costs more and that in order for all these people to make money, they must deny you care. They must limit your care. But Nancy's on the line. She's a healthcare advocate. Come on in, Nancy. Nancy, you're on.
Okay. Yes, I'm a member of a universal healthcare group. It's called Healthcare for All Texas, HCFAT.org.
I am very well aware with all that you do. Thank you for doing great work and working along with Kathy Courtney, etc.
Okay, let me spit it out. And I did not know about this group, and I've been listening to KPFT since 2008, 2 weeks before Obama got elected. That's when I discovered KPFT by accident. But anyway, universal health care. That means no premiums, no copays, no deductibles. You just get care. All right. So I was just, wow. And then I found out, well, it was introduced by John Conyers of Michigan in the House. And it's sitting in the House, and it changes every 2 years, the numbers of the bill, HR, whatever the number is.
It used to be 676, yeah.
Well, now it's 3412. HR
Right.
3412. So all of you listening to this is Medicare or healthcare from birth, expanded from birth, not from 65, because people get sick before they're 65, right? And it'll be for all residents. That includes the undocumented. And some people used to say, I don't want that. No, not only for U.S. citizens. But, we learned through the COVID that disease does not ask for your citizenship or your papers. So they don't care. Disease does not care. Okay, this bill is HR, House of Representatives 3421. And we had a bill in its previous, like 2 or 3 years ago, it was 676. And it had, Dr. Johnny, are you listening? It had the progressive tax item in there. If you made over $50 million annual salary, that over part, not the under, but the over 50 million would be taxed at income tax of 13%. And so when I told people, and I'm out in the field, because I go into events and I pass out flyers, their eyes their face lit up. I mean, that puts meat into the bill. Okay, well, the Republicans are bullied, and they've got the majority. And this year, PNHP, Physicians for National Health Care. This group. It has around 30,000-40,000 now members, and Healthcare for All Texas under the umbrella of the PNHP, Physicians for National Healthcare.org. They took 3 steps backwards from standing and from the bullies, and they took the progressive tax item or part of the bill out. So 3421 says Medicare from birth for all residents. That means the undocumented as well, because they wait till the last second before they go to Ben Taub or whatever hospitals near them. Okay, so the people need to know about this and tell their House of Representatives, tell their senators, even if they think the senator doesn't listen. We have to tell them how we feel. And then look at their history.
Nancy, let me stop. Nancy, hold on. Nancy, hold on a second. Okay. Nancy. Nancy, hold on a second, please.
He has never agreed to Medicare for all. Never.
Nancy, can you hold a second, please? Nancy, can you hold a second, please?
It depends on the people power.
I guess Nancy have one-way communication. Okay, Nancy, listen, first of all. You made 2 comments I want to make sure and clarify. One, you say people need to go ahead and call your representatives and tell them this is what they want. Before that occurs, we have to do the hard work. And the hard work is removing the misinformation that people have on universal healthcare or healthcare for all. That takes a lot of work. There's a lot of people invested into misinforming people about what true universal healthcare looks like and what it would cost. And the other thing that I want to correct is, let's stop just blaming Republicans for our healthcare scenario. It's not Republicans at all only. Democrats play a very important role in the destruction of universal healthcare. And until we are honest with ourselves and realize that just as Republicans are bad with healthcare, when you have Democrats that are pushing, including Brother Biden, pushing Medicare Advantage, they are just as bad. So let's be honest here. Both Democrats and Republicans are pawns of the health insurance industry. And if we want to do the right thing as responsible citizens, we make sure and elect Democrats and Republicans who support Medicare for all. I don't want to call it Medicare for all, but true universal health care. I am not going to lay the blame on something like this solely on my Republican brothers and sisters, because what we have is wolf in sheep clothing. When we had Obamacare come about, it wasn't solely the Republicans' fault that we got a bill that could be much better. So we have to start from a position of honesty. And after that, we can move on.
Democrats. Made that point. Yes, I made that point. Colin Allred is not a Republican. He won the Democratic primary for facing Ted Cruz. Okay.
Right.
Now he has never in his history in the House voted for this health care for all, or Medicare for all is what its nickname is.
Right.
He's not. Neither
right.
is Beto O'Rourke. He's in the
exactly.
House for 6 years. And Lizzie Fletcher, Sylvia Garcia are House of Reps, District 7, the new District 7.
There you go.
Lizzie
Thank you. Okay, Nancy, I got to go to the other caller, but thank you very much for pointing that out. That is very important, my dear, and thank you. Thank you so kindly, my
representatives need to know we need the progressive tax in there.
Thank you, sis. Thank you. Johnny, come on in.
What I love about Nancy is that she shows people like Original Brian how to be contentious. That's the right way, Brian. Our talking point, that's your heart has got to be in the right place. So, Nancy, I love you. Okay. So I have a cousin. I told you this story once before at my mother's memorial service. My cousin, who's a surgeon, she said to me that healthcare isn't a right, it's a privilege.
Oh.
And she used a talking point about, and she talking about skin in the game. And so I respond to her by saying politics is everything, and that healthcare, like education and the public roads, is good. In the game, it's got zero to do with it. It's got to do with everybody helping everybody. It's a public good. There's
Thank you.
Safety numbers, and there's efficiency in numbers too, economic efficiency. If you want to throw back at me how this costs so much, remember, it costs less than everybody's putting in, and the ultra wealthy are putting in at least as much, if not more, well, in our current economic.
All right, Johnny. Johnny, as usual, good information, but you're still breaking up. I want you to stay still when you're talking so that we can hear those wonderful words of yours, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to stand still right here. I hope my signal is strong enough.
Yes.
Politics everywhere. Education, the roads, and healthcare, they're all public goods. They cost less for everybody. For Republicans who want the fiscal, FISCAL, fiscal responsibility, like my surgeon cousin, who's all concerned about money, guess what? The money, honey, makes more sense when it's universally paid for, and the ultra wealthy.
Thank you, Johnny. We get the point, and I'm going to go to Dennis, Mr. Two Jumper. Thank you, brother. Peace. Dennis, come on in.
Hey, good morning, Egberto. I'm never up this early, and I wanted to get your take. So the billboards in this town, now that they're half lawyers or more, but what do you think about all these billboards popping up advertising the Epoch Times?
Well, I haven't seen them, but the misinformation campaign is in full. I believe it or not, I haven't seen. But here, you have to remember this, right? I am kind of like a nerd, and I kind of ignore billboards and that kind of stuff, which I shouldn't. I shouldn't. So now, what you just did to me, Dennis, is you forced me to, Egberto, be aware of these billboards. So I will start doing that. But the mention that you have Epoch and it, etc., not to worry. Let me tell you this. We always knew that a humongous misinformation campaign was going to begin. That is what could bring Donald Trump to power. an unanswered misinformation campaign or taking misinformation for granted by people on the left and otherwise. So thanks for bringing that up. And let me just say this: what's that?
AM radio might be way out. This is the new way that they will bring this information to you. That's all. Enjoying the show. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Again, folks, it's going to be more than, for a democracy to survive, you have to have people with a level, with a willingness to be curious and also to be not gullible. Otherwise, the Trumps of the world can survive. Let's go to Donald, and then I'm going to try to finish up or get some more done with Medicare Advantage. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you this weekend?
I am fine, my friend.
After weekend.
I'm fine.
Good,
Talk to me, my
good.
brother.
How dare you try to educate these people? You're trying to tell them that is a fake carrot in front of the donkey. The donkey's just supposed to keep chasing the carrot. Even though it's rotten and stinks and it's got a candy shell around it and looks like a carrot, they ain't supposed to try to take a bite. You're trying to take some of the leverage away from corporations. We know that we have to go to a corporation so that we can get insurance, so that we can work, so that they can collect our taxes, so they can send it up the chain, and they can use the roads that we pay for to transport goods. Stop trying to educate them. They'll be happy if they just sheep and go where they're supposed to.
Brother Donald, I love humanity too much, right? I think, there are so many people that yearn to know and that want things better, and some people who just don't know how to get there. I hope that myself and many others doing what we do can help along. I'm an eternal optimist. So I hear you. I think we're going to turn all the sheep into lions, okay?
A road is built one brick at a time, and you keep on paving the way.
Thank you.
All right. Later.
Thank you for that one, Donald. Thank you for that one. And I want everybody to listen to that word that Donald just said. A road is built one brick at a time, and it takes a while before. In other words, if I'm building that highway from California to Texas one brick at a time, it moves daily. Daily, we get several miles. It takes a while before we get there. And that's a patience that we are going to have to not only change, first of all, not change the minds of our fellow brothers and sisters, but inform our fellow brothers and sisters. And then after being informed, with the expectation that we have not completely destroyed the rules of our government such that we can actually have an effect and choose the government that we want, that we can get there. Like I said, I'm a forever optimist, and Medicare Advantage is one of those things that we must change. So, for a quick recap here, Medicare Advantage, the title of the article that I want folks to read in its entirety, that I'm going over in synopsis form, is called "Busting the Myths of Medicare Advantage." Again, the title, it's "Busting the Myths of Medicare Advantage," and you can reach that article, the link to that article, and the other videos that I have planned for today are at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Remember, you get that news. For those of you who sign, they get that newsletter at 5 in the mornings. And it tells you what the show is going to be about, and it has the links to the videos and everything. And the reason we do that, again, is so you have precedence, callers have precedence onto this show. So therefore, in as much as we have a show prepared, we go to them and tell you, hey, you can see what we're going to talk about the show in the newsletter, and keep you posted that way. Now, so starting, we said that there were 6 myths that we want to talk about, and I'm going to call out these 6 myths, and then I'll expand a little bit with the little time that we have left. Myth number 1 was Medicare Advantage is not Medicare. And it's a scam, really. Medicare Advantage saves money. It does not save money. In the short term, some people get the benefits that not having a copay or and not all plans share that, but not having a copay or having vision and teeth and all of that. But what they've proven is that even the people who have that coverage, the out of pocket is so high that people don't use it at all. The myth number 3 is that Medicare Advantage is necessary to save beneficiary out of pocket spending. Studies have been done that shows that you don't for a large percentage of Medicare Advantage, you actually pay more out of pocket, and that for substandard service. Medicare Advantage improves health outcomes. That is not true at all, especially if you have certain kinds of cancers and you can't go to Kettering or you can't go to Memorial or certain places. You're out of luck because you got to go in company or in network, or you don't, or they don't pay. Medicare Advantage, myth number 5, Medicare Advantage offers benefits that traditional Medicare simply cannot match. That is a dental, eye, and ear coverage. But again, like I mentioned before, most people cannot afford their out-of-pocket for those services, so those services go unused. These guys are great at marketing. They're not great at performance. I repeat, they're great at marketing this stuff, but they're not great at actually giving you the service. And Medicare Advantage is necessary. Myth number 6, Medicare Advantage is necessary to lower health spending. It is not, because it costs, Medicare Advantage costs the government more than it does traditional Medicare. In fact, about 20% more. So think about this. If Medicare Advantage costs 20% more than traditional Medicare, and also doesn't it tell you that we could actually just have traditional Medicare, get rid of Medigap altogether, and give everybody true universal health care? The answer to that is a categorical yes. And the reason for that is that our politicians are bought by the insurance companies. We have to understand and learn these things. Why is it so hard to convince people? I gave you the initial story about my friend whose wife had a whole lot of problems getting their Medicare Advantage to pay for services. But they fought so hard, and when they finally got service, they were happy, they were ecstatic that they got the service. Right? I'm successful in getting the service. And the way the human mind can work sometimes, it's like, yay, I overcame this hurdle. All right, things are not necessarily okay, but it is something that we can get across. Folks, we have to really nip this in the butt. These companies need to cease to exist because they're not companies for the well-being of the American citizens. They are companies for the well-being of the few executives and stockholders of these companies. They're not there to give health care. They're there to make a profit, and there's nothing wrong with a profit. But we shouldn't be profiting with people's health care. We simply should not be doing that, which is what Medicare Advantage does. And I wish we could get around the advertising, the propaganda, all the misinformation about this, the thing that make people believe, in as much as they are empowered, to feel disempowered from being able to do something about it. You have the power to go ahead for every elected official and say, this is what I want. Let's go to Joni, line number 1. Come on in, Joni.
Good morning, Egberto. This is Joni. Yes, just wanted to comment and build on what you said earlier about Democrats being part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Back when Bernie and Hillary Clinton were up for the Democratic nomination, and you found out later, and he was, he's all over the universal health care, has been. He and Dennis Kucinich have been, real proponents of it for a very long time now. And when Hillary, when Hillary Clinton, she pulled the strings of power, in a way, Donna Brazile wrote a book about it, and now you don't even hear where she is anymore. And they kind of forced her to recant when I don't really know why, because that's what happened, is Hillary basically stole it the way Trump stole it, stole it from Hillary. She stole it from Bernie. And I've never voted for a Clinton and never would. They're part of the problem. They're part of what stepped us here toward a Trump, even though they're Democrats. And if it weren't for her, we would be well on our way with Bernie Sanders having beat Donald Trump, because he had a lot of support, even here in Texas. So I just wanted to support what you said about that regarding Democrats, and she was one of them.
Thank you very much, my sister. Let me just say, you have to remember that Trump. I think Clinton was a founder of the DLC or something like that. These people that tried to be centrist, in effect, they were Republican lights, and they turned I don't want to say they turned the Democratic Party into the Republican light, but if you take a look at what's going on, that's what they did. I mean, that's the reason. I talk about my brothers and sisters in Appalachia a lot, and people are like, why are you worried about those people who are racist or those people who don't care about? No. I care about people, right? And they are the microcosm. I mean, we know what happened in many of the minority communities, but what never gets a lot of play is what happened in Appalachia. And by gosh, I don't understand why progressives don't go out there and remind these people of what how things could actually be. But that's for another subject. I just kind of piggyback. You piggyback on me, I just piggybacked on you. So I'll talk about that in more detail later.
Thank you for the opportunity to vent.
Thank you, Joni. You have a wonderful day.
And have you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. But yeah, folks, look, you have power. All of us have power. We still have one person, one vote. Our biggest asset is our mind. Our biggest asset is our mind. And if we don't if we allow others to use our minds for us, right, then we pay the price of it. The things that we talk about on this program, I am not asking anybody to just listen to what I say and then say, that's what we do. Or that is not using your mind, right? I want folks to develop a trust in each other, of folks that are doing the homework on these issues, and then you do your homework and you add your part to the field, but not allow these plutocrats, these oligarchs, and these politicians to continuously having us vote against our own interests. The reason why we have wealth disparity and income disparity is it's because the formula of our economic system dictates it, and nobody understands it. That's what we're here for, not only in healthcare, not only in economics, not only in socialization. That's what we're here for, to inform. But anyway, I'm out of my time. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter that covered the article we spoke about and the videos that we were supposed to put on. I'm going to throw it to the studio.
Nothing for me. How about you, Jack?
Well, I'm not a sheeple, but I am an old goat.
You are an old goat. And so am I. We're both. He and I are both Capricorns.
Oh, we're really goats.
Yeah. Born with
all right, goats. But look, guys. As usual, y'all make the show. The people that call in make the show. The listeners make the show. I really appreciate, and I'm honored that I have this platform that we can have real conversations, real. And notice what I said, real conversations, not only here at KPFT, but online, etc. That's a great thing about the kind of symbiotic relationships we have in media these days. Anyway, my name is Egberto. Willies, this is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.